I got 0 friends.
Hey guys, this is What If Deku Was Kratos Part 2, baby. And I love this series off the bat already because I'm a big God of War fan. I'm not a big fan, but I really love the character of Kratos. And overall, just he's just the coldest character in all of game fiction, bro. He's the coldest video game character of them all, bro. Like, no character, no other purely, like, original, video game character comes close, bro. None of them come close. And I don't count things that are comic books and then they were turned into games. I mean, games that were started off as games. Like, bro, he's the coldest of them all. I feel like he's just too cold, bro. Especially young Kratos, bro. He's unstoppable, bro. He's unstoppable. But nonetheless, guys, I don't really have anything to talk to, so let's dive right into this fan fiction. Let's get into it. Now, we started our story off last time we left off, where Deku would have found out he had a brother, and that he had to go down to the underworld and get him from Hades, as he would have gone down there. Now, a lot of my fan fiction is going to stray away from the path of the original game a lot. So just be ready for a completely semi-original story, because part 3 is going to be all murder, bro. I mean, like, Kratos is finna go crazy. But let's just dive right into this fanfiction. We saw our story. So last time we left off, Deku would have found out where his brother was in the underworld, and he had to go up against Hades to figure out what's going on with his brother. As he would have gone in the underworld, as he would have, had to figure out a way to get there. As he would have gone on missions, journeys, and finding out scrolls to get there. As eventually he would have came across, one of his half-brothers, Perseus. As Perseus would have been, living his life and just saying to himself, as eventually Kratos, Deku, would have knocked on his door, asking him about a journey he's going on to find his real brother, to find his other full-blood brother. As Perseus would have valued family because, he's another bastard son of Zeus, a very cruel and overall just slanging his meat everywhere type of god. Like, literally just getting into all sorts of women and having so many children. But basically what would happen is, he would have told Kratos the fastest way to get to Hades is to die. I mean, the fastest way to get to the underworld is, to die. But it's another way. A secret passage, a cave, you could say. A cave near the Kraken's, burial place or resting place. As Perseus would have told him that I fought the Kraken once, but somehow Zeus brought him back because he needed him as a guard dog of sorts for the gates of hell or the underworld. So he would have told Kratos that he needed to get there and he needed a way out as well, because there's only a one-way gate. He needed a pearl. As I'm going to be pulling some inspiration from the Percy Jackson books and movies. He would have said you needed a pearl from a god. A pearl that would be able to send you back to the living world if you step on it after you, succeeded what you were doing in the underworld. As Perseus would have gave him a pearl, actually, saying that he had one, but saying that he has to use it when he's definitely and completely sure he wants to get out of the underworld and he's done the business he's done, or he's going there to do. And he needs to be very careful, because even cracking on it, shaking it, or even just throwing it can trigger it, and you can be teleported at any time. So be very careful with it, Kratos. As Kratos would have understood this, or Deku would have understood this, as he would have left, saying, "Have a good life, brother," as he would have left and closed the door. As Perseus would have sat back down, looking upon pretty much, the village he was living in, pretty much taking in the glory of nature and beauty. As Kratos would have been still filled with rage, as he would have been happy for the first time in a long time, in the first couple weeks and months of his death, of his, family's death, as he would have gotten ready for the journey ahead, as he would have ranked up skills and also would have trained more with the Blades of Chaos, eventually him going to the underworld, as he would have been wearing the same type of first, appearance outfit Kratos would have been wearing, with the tunic and pretty much sandals and the blades of chaos with the markings on his body. As Kratos would have gone down there, as eventually he would have, well, got him ready. As Deku, and also guys, somebody mentioned that, how does Deku look like? Because my friend said, watched my video, he said, you never mentioned how Deku looked like. Deku basically looks like himself, just a little bit more muscular, a little taller, and with, no, actually he's the same height, he's just a little bit more muscular. He has green, no, he has red hair, yeah. Deku has, no, scratch that, what am I talking about? Deku has black hair with the same Kratos markings, and also has a red streak in his hair where the Kratos markings would be on his head if it was bald. And also he does have pretty much white skin, as I said earlier in part 1, and basically his muscularity is like about a lot more perfected than the one in the pretty much show. So he's basically just better, a bit of simple. And yeah, so basically he just looks like Deku in the original canon, just a lot more more muscular and more perfected, and with black hair and a red streak in his hair. Now let's get back to the story. Now what would happen is, well, Deku would have gone down there on the world, as he would have opened the gates, as he would have gotten down there. So eventually, as he would have came near the gates, he would have been stopped by the Kraken. The Kraken would have lunged towards him, but Kratos would have been fast enough to get past the Kraken, and that whole Kraken fight wouldn't happen for now. Now what would happen is that he would have gone through the gates of hell, or Hades, or underworld, whatever, as he would have gone down the stairs. As he would have looked around, seeing souls being departed and other things like that. Him being escorted by some sort of, I guess, guider of these souls there. As he would have paid him in coins from pretty much, well, Sparta, as he would have been escorted to, well, the kingdom, the king's palace, basically where Hades lies. As Hades would have been a little bit more different looking. And in this canon, Hades would have been a version of, well, Endeavor. As Endeavor would have been this universe's version of Hades. As he would have been very much gluttonous. As he would have looked like a more older version of pretty much, well, Endeavor with a little bit, not like really fat, but a little bit of a gut. Kind of like Spider-Man, Peter B. Parker. He was muscular, but he still had like a gut. Like a sucking gut. But what happened as well, Kratos would have told Hades that he needed to know where his brother was, and that he knew that his brother was here. As Hades, well, Endeavor would have told Deku that he didn't know what he was talking about, and that your brother doesn't exist, your only child. Zeus made sure of that. As Hades catches himself saying, "You are only child." It's just how it was. It's just how it was. As Hades would have been looked dead in the soul by Kratos or Deku. As Deku would have told Hades that, "I know you're lying. I see it in your eyes. I've heard and seen liars multiple times through my decades of living." And Hades would have catched him saying, "Decades? You're only 16, boy. Get out my face and leave my realm at once before I change my mind about letting you even live." Now, as he would have walked off, as, well, Kratos would have told Hades that, "I'm not leaving without my brother. And I'm not leaving without my brother. If that leads to me killing you, so be it." As Hades would have said, "Killing me? Killing me? I heard what you did to Ares, but I am way more powerful than Ares, and I will destroy you if you even try to disobey me, my own realm at that. You killed Ares, yes, but you were a bloody mess afterwards. You really think we can take on one of the big three, the first three big gods? I am Hades, king of hell. You understand what you're going to be fighting up against? I don't think you understand, boy. So you better leave before you die where you stand. As Kratos would have looked at him with pure and utter rage in his eyes, and the intent to kill him no matter what. With the same eyes he had, the same look he had in the eyes when he took the last breath from Ares. From Ares. As Kratos, Deku, would have looked dead in the soul, the eyes of Hades. As Hades would have been intimidated just a little bit in the back of his head. As Kratos has said, so be it. As he would have taken out the blades of chaos, as Hades would have said, nice try. As he would have bolted towards him, basically grabbing Deku by the throat and chucking him into the ground, making a huge pillar, making them fall to the floor into a lower deck of the castle. As he would have started to be pummeled down to the ground by Hades, as he would have started to be rushed with fire attacks and flames. Same type of fight as well from Ares. So eventually, well, Hades would have grabbed Deku, would have chucked him down to the ground and started to pummel him down to the ground, him being a bloody mess. Eventually, well, Hades would have been stopped by one block from Kratos' hand, as Kratos would have punched Hades straight in the jaw, as he would have started to go up against him time and time again, fighting him, punching blows, and basically just giving him all he has. So eventually, Hades would have been tired of this, grown into size as his god strength, basically grown into a giant, as he would have started to pummel and punch towards Deku. As the fight would have gone similar to the fight in the original game where Kratos would have gone up against Hades. As pretty much in this universe, Endeavor looks a little bit more, he looks like Endeavor but with red hair and spikes. So he would have started to pummel down the ground, grabbing Kratos and chucking him into the lava pool, or basically the flow or stream of souls, as pretty much Kratos would have started to be pulled in there by souls and other people he murdered in that village where he murdered his children, as he would have been pulled deep into the river of souls, as he would have eventually seen, well, Ochaku. Ochaku would have looked dead in Deku's eyes, saying that I forgive you, and you have to wake up. As Kratos would have pretty much driven through the other souls, slicing them in two, and eventually swimming his way through and out of the stream of souls, or river of souls, as he would have looked towards looked towards himself in a puddle of water. I said lava before, but it was water. I like glowing water, as he would have been filled with rage and anger, but also more willpower than he's ever had in his life. As he would have gotten up, his hands being clenched against his blades, as he would have looked up on the tower, as he would have, well, went through the trials of going up mountains, buildings, and other sorts of things and ruins, getting back to the tower or the castle where Hades was lying. Hades, well, rules. As Hades would have been drinking and celebrating the death that he killed a god killer. As he would have looked up, as he would have seen Kratos on the ceiling, Spider-Man style, and he literally pummeled Hades to the ground. Pummeled Hades. What am I talking about? Hades to the ground. As Hades would have started to be pummeled down to the ground again and again and again. Hades not even having a chance to even fight back. But Hades would have fought back with a huge bolt of flames or soul energy, as he would have been pushed back against the ceiling, as Kratos would have started to be pummeled by attacks, and attacks. Kratos dying, seemingly. As Kratos would have been on the ground without any life, as Kratos would have opened his eyes, as he would have rushed towards pretty much Hades, as he would have burned him alive, grabbing him by the shoulders and literally driving his fingers into Hades' shoulders, as Hades would have yelled in pain, saying, "What is this power? You're only a man. You're only a mortal." As he would have said, "Powers I've taken by Ares. His death gave me power, and I intend to take the same from you." As he would have started to burn Ares to death, as Ares would have Hades. I'm unscripting all this. I'm sorry, guys. As Hades would have started to fight back even more, as he would have started to lunge and lash and basically stab Kratos again and again and again, as Kratos wouldn't back down, as he would have endured the pain of him being stabbed again and again and again. As eventually, Kratos would have grabbed Hades' head, as he would have ripped it off clean from his body, as he would have looked at Hades' head, and he would have absorbed some sort of soul from his body, as he would have grabbed some weapons from his body, as he would have grabbed blades and took them from his dead corpse, as the underworld would have started to collapse, as Hades basically starts to wither away, or his corpse starts to wither away, as Deku grabs the pearl as he steps on it, as he's teleported back to Earth, but in the water, as he would have started to see a swirl of water start to circle around him, as he would have looked down in the water, as he would have seen the Kraken lunge right towards him, or basically swim right towards him at full speed, feeling the shift in the water himself, as he would have started to swim as fast as possible, eventually him being, hit with a tentacle by the Kraken, as the Kraken would have hit him down to the ground, as Deku would have started to swim against the water, as he would have started to take the Blades of Chaos out with his newfound power from his 10% of power from Hades and Ares, him being filled with even more godlike abilities, as he would have started to fight more and more against this being, this Kraken, as he would have fought against it again and again and again, throwing lunges, lashes, and scars, as eventually he would have been overpowered and he would have been thrown up into the sky, as Kratos would have been in the sky, falling down back into the water near the Kraken, as he would have taken the memory of his, family, and everybody he lost, including his mother, as eventually he would have opened his eyes, being filled with even more rage than before, as he would have cut the Kraken right in two, basically killing the Kraken instantly with one shift of his blade, of his newfound blades from Hades, as he would have, jumped back into the air, him eventually landing, on some land nearby, as he would have walked his way back to Sparta, as he would have walked past, Atreus, as Atreus would have told him, "Where have you been? You've been gone for 2 days," as Kratos was confused, and he felt like he was gone for about an hour. It felt like time moved way slower there, as he would have told Deku that Sparta has gone. Something happened, as Deku would have been confused, as he would have walked by Sparta and seen buildings being flooded and even water being all on the top of Sparta, as he would have been confused on what was going on, as he would have said it was the god Poseidon. He's fought back. You've killed 2 gods. And the news of you killing Hades has been, thrown around. Millions of people die every day, Kratos, around the world. It was the second Hades died, the gods were going to know, as Kratos looks at, Denki, or Atreus, and tells Atreus to go warn the other Spartans for war, as he has a plan to take the gods and kill them all in this week. As he would have gotten ready, as Kratos would have started to train with his newfound blades he got from Hades. Claws of Hades, as he would have fought back against the gods, him basically going to, the temple, or, the watery island, where Poseidon mainly, dwells, as his power is the strongest there. As Ares goes down there, as Kratos goes down there, him being even more distraught that he couldn't find his brother, as we would have switched back to the underworld. Since the death of Hades, the prisoners he had down there in the underworld, they didn't have anything going against them. The cages opened, and we saw a blonde-haired boy, 16 years old, near that age, same height as, a little bit taller than Deku, same height, maybe a little bit taller than Deku, with, fleshy skin, marks on his body, and, well, a shimmer of hatred in his eyes. As he would have looked in the sky, as he would have seen pure and utter hatred in his eyes, or he would have imagined death itself, him being driven by some sort of untapped, unknown level of complete and utter rage and chaos inside his body, as years and decades of him being stuck in the underworld, him being told again and again that he was down here because of his brother, his prophecy. He was filled with rage, and he swore he would kill Kratos, his brother, if he had the chance. He would have escaped the underworld, and we will see that he would go where Kratos was going, as he would have gone to Sparta, as he would have heard the news, the gossip of Kratos. He's going to kill Poseidon next. He's going on a killing spree of all the gods. It is hurting the whole world. As, well, pretty much, let's just say, a certain fiery blonde student from UA will be playing the part of Kratos' brother. Bakugo would have been Deku's brother in this universe. Now, we can switch away from his brother's story because we're going to go more into the death of his brother's story in part 3. Now, guys, since this story is going to get a lot more complicated and complex, it's going to be a 4-part series instead of a 3-part series. Now, what would happen as well, Deku would have gone to, well, the dwelling place of Poseidon, as he would have walked around looking for him. As eventually Poseidon would have looked down on Deku, saying that you think you can kill all gods and get away with it? You are dumber than I thought, Kratos. I'm not really here. This is a water reflection. Kratos would have been confused, as he would have said, if you want to kill me, you have to come to Olympus, boy. And I will not let you live if you step foot in Olympus. As Kratos would have said, I'll come to Olympus and I'll kill all the gods if it's the last thing I do. And Kratos is stunned when Poseidon says it is going to be the last thing you do. Because if all the gods die, it's going to be consequences, you understand? As Kratos says, I don't care about the consequences. I'm living for vengeance. And I will never, ever be denied my vengeance. If all of Olympus denies me that, well, all of Olympus will die. As, well, Poseidon would have said, shall be it. But to give you a little bit of, well, let's just say, telling you a little hint to stop your actions and killing the rest of the gods. And we knew, and I know, Zeus will punish you for this, even if you're his favorite. As he says that, I sent a little bit of a gift towards your way. As we would see that, well, Poseidon would have disappeared, as Kratos would have looked around, as he would have looked behind him, seeing a blonde-haired boy a couple feet away from him. As Kratos would have been confused on, who are you? As, well, Kratos would have been shot dead in the chest by a punch, basically out of nowhere, the wind being knocked out of his windpipes. As Kratos would have fell down to the ground, and him looking up, seeing what seems to be his brother, with the same markings as him, but them being actually birthmarks, with fire in his eyes, like he was bathed in the blood, or bathed in the flames of Hades, as he would have had the power of Hades, plus incredible levels of pain tolerance, because he was tortured and caged up for his entire life, since birth. As Hades would have started, Deku's brother, Bakugo for narrating purposes, would have started to pummel the absolute crap out of Deku. I mean, would beat him senseless. I mean, the fight was one-sided. It wasn't even a fight, it was a beatdown. Deku had no chance, because the amount of force, the amount of literal training, the amount of literal, like, since freaking birth, this man was told that he's down here being tortured day in and day out because of his brother simply being born. You being simply born brought you to this chaos. As what would happen is, well, he would have been filled with 16 years of pure and utter hatred for Deku, as he would have started to pummel Deku down to the ground. As eventually Deku would have gotten out of the way, as he would have taken the claws of Hades and slashed them right across Bakugo's chest. As Bakugo would have yelled in pain, shooting a bolt of flames towards Deku, shooting him into the ground. As Deku would have gone back up, as he would have been pummeled back down to the ground, it yet again being a one-sided beatdown / fight. As Bakugo would have fought back more and more, not fought back, but he would have started to beat Deku down even more. Deku losing gallons, pounds, and even oceans worth of blood. As he would eventually fought back with a huge slash of his blades, him cutting off Bakugo's arm. As Bakugo would yell out in pain, him looking at Kratos getting up saying, "I didn't want to do that, brother. I went down in the underworld to save you. And this is how you repay me?" As he says, "You didn't save me, you left me there to rot." He said, "I had to leave. I could not survive down there any longer. I succeeded at my plan, but I couldn't find you. But I think, well, not the gods, but I'm happy that you're..." And as Deku can't get the words out of his mouth, well, Bakugo starts to regenerate his arm, as Kratos will be confused as freak on how it's possible. As, well, Bakugo would have explained that years under the underworld affected his body, his chemistry, making him supernatural, making him more god than human. As he would have started to regenerate his arm, saying that, "I'm practically immortal. I was literally taken to the underworld as a child. My soul is untouchable, and my body as well. I cannot be killed by normal means, brother. I cannot be destroyed, decapitated, or stabbed to death. You would have to do a lot more to kill me. I am not immortal, but I will be unstoppable and practically invincible to all the attacks you will throw my way, brother. I will kill you where you stand today, and there's nothing you can do about it." As Kratos would have looked at Bakugo, as he would have said, "I don't want to fight you, brother. I will not fight you today." As Kratos would have used the Blades of Chaos to cut down on the pretty much bridge they were standing on, having this fight, as the bridge would have collapsed, them falling down into the water. As Kratos would have been nowhere to be seen, as Bakugo would have yelled out in rage, saying, "Deku! Face me like a man, and come back!" And basically, well, he would have been left there basically saying, "You're a coward, and come out now." As Kratos would have already been long gone, swimming down, and basically a couple days later, arriving back to Sparta. As Sparta would have welcomed him back, especially Atreus would have welcomed him back. Sorry for the noise in the back. Basically saying that, how was your, killing of, well, the god Poseidon, as he says. Poseidon wasn't there. Majority of other gods are keeping their filthy little bodies and, well, staying safe in Olympus. Now, Olympus will be the next place I will be visiting. But Atreus, I need to tell you something. My brother is back. As Atreus would be confused, saying, "You have a brother?" As Kratos would explain to him that, "Yes, I have a brother. And I need you. As soon as you see a blonde-haired boy near my height, maybe taller, with red markings on his body like mine, you will have to fight him or try to become his friend. But I tell you this, brother. I tell you this, my brother of Sparta. He is no pushover. He may be stronger than me." So, well, Atreus was told that they welcome him with open arms, but if he starts to fight with your life and do not hold back. Fight him like he's a god. Do not let any weapon go unused against him. A whole army will have to be used against him to even keep him at bay, for that matter. Not even take him out. as Atreus would have understood, as Deku would have gone back on his mission to try to figure out how to get to Olympus. But that's a story for another time. So guys, I'm going to leave it off here, guys. Part 3 will be a lot more gruesome. And overall, part 3 will be more about the gods and basically everything that's going on. And actually will be where the story will really pick up a lot more. So part 3 will be literally goated. Part 4 will be the end of the series. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like and subscribe. As always, guys, have a blessed day. Deuces.